Now, the impact of the horse on native traditions in the Great Plains was significant. It is important to realize how the horse will become crucial to the success rate of native resistance to first the Spanish, then the Mexican nation, and then finally the United States, and all of them have colonization plans on native lands. So in Texas, the Kiowa and Comanche are going to use the horse most effectively in their hit and run techniques against the colonization programs of both Spain, the United States, and eventually Mexico. The Kiowa and the Comanche are going to develop the raiding complex to perfection. But, that is a U.S. and Mexican historian approach to native peoples. What I call the raiding complex is that the native peoples are going to create their most effective border patrol to stop both Mexican as well as American settlers from moving into their lands. And they had an effective border patrol through the horse culture. But it is only through the advancement of industry, the onslaught or the arrival of the railroad, and then eventually the genocidal slaughter of the buffalo that will bring these plain horse cultures to a standstill. It's not until the 1870s when Quanah Parker is removed to Oklahoma and Geronimo is captured in Arizona will a sense of community for arriving immigrants, will a sense of permanency be established for arriving immigrants between San Antonio to San Diego, between Coahuila and Sonora up to Kansas. So the appearance of the horse created new movements of populations along the plains, and it increased the trade in buffalo products in the Southwest. And this is very important with regards to appreciating something about the native tradition, because it is this that Hollywood has a fascination over that they call the Wild West. So the United States at the outset is not going to recognize native peoples as part of the new experiment in nation building. Please understand this. So when we talk about President Trump and the racist approach that he has towards policy, well, President Trump is just being what all white people wanted, was a president that wasn't afraid to say that whites are superior. Okay? That's all what white people wanted. That's why they voted for President Trump. Okay? So when we take a look at this nation, President Trump is just approaching what this nation was founded upon: white superiority, white racism. And we can just go to understand something about Thomas Jefferson. Because, in fact, Thomas Jefferson is going to familiarize himself with the doctrine of discovery. And Thomas Jefferson is going to write one of the most racist statements that's enshrined as part of the Declaration of Independence, this sacrosanct document that sits in the Smithsonian Institute that is guarded, that has a military person guarding it. That's how much everybody goes and bends their knees at this document called the Declaration of Independence. Because in this document, there's the racism. Merciless Indian savages. The school children are going to learn very early in their lives the prejudice and the racism of the founding fathers of this nation. Native peoples will not be accorded the rights and privileges of citizenship in the 19th century. Now, in the first week of this course, I introduced you to the concepts concerning the racialization process. I shared with you that racism is an instrument of power used by those in power to perpetuate their power. And Thomas Jefferson knew very well what he was doing when he phrased merciless Indian savages into the Declaration of Independence. Because in that Declaration of Independence, it says, merciless Indian savages whose known rule of warfare is an undistinguished destruction of all ages, sexes, and conditions. And it was this man that's going to lay the foundation for the removal of native populations. So as you follow the logic of prejudice, of stereotype and avoidance, and then you move down to the next level of discrimination and having the law behind you to the means of action to carry out the discrimination to leave a population disadvantaged, and then you follow the logic again of segregation, and then eventually creating a law to segregate that's isolated a population. Well, what is next? How does a society come to hate? And so, of course, the next is U.S. policy. did the United States commit genocide? What is removal all about? So let's talk about this concept known as genocide. Okay? And that's what removal is all about. Now, I'm going to be asking you not only to watch a film called Chaco Canyon so you can understand the spiritual migration of people, I'm going to ask you to read a chapter on the indigenous experience specifically related to removal, because now what's going to happen is that not only was there a spiritual migration, now there's going to be a forced migration of native peoples from their land. And this particular president, one of the most racist presidents ever, and perhaps maybe Donald Trump can try to match the racism of this particular president, President Andrew Jackson, who was a reactionary just like Trump, who reacted to everything, especially took everything personal, just like Trump. President Jackson implemented a policy known as Indian Removal Act, which challenged all native peoples east of the Mississippi River to move west. He told them, just get out. The Cherokee experience with the removal is known as the Trail of Tears, and perhaps that's been given the most romantic attention with regards to the Cherokee. They refer to it as tears because on their way to being removed to what is known today as the state of Oklahoma, they shed their blood along the trail. They shed their children and their elders. Let's visit a film clip assisting us in visualizing the removal process. Let's listen to what happened to the Cherokees.